All right, check this out.
I got a question. Am I the only one that feels like Trump stole a sports almanac, traveled through time, totally messed up our timeline? I'll tell you what, man, this is wild. James Comey, the former FBI director, has been indicted. Yesterday, he walked into a Virginia courtroom and pleaded not guilty. Just think about that for a second. A man who once led the FBI, the highest law enforcement agency in the country, now standing as a defendant. That's not something you see every day. So let me break this down. Comey was indicted on 2 charges: making false statements to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. The government says that in 2020, September 2020, during a Senate Judiciary hearing, Comey denied that he had ever authorized anyone in the FBI to talk to the press anonymously. Prosecutors claim, though, that that's bullshit. On paper, that sounds like a serious charge. But here's the thing. The case has been controversial from the jump. And not just because Comey is a Trump enemy, it's because the people inside the Justice Department didn't even think this case should exist. I'm talking about career prosecutors, the folks who actually worked the case. They looked at the evidence and said there was no probable cause to charge Comey. They drafted a memo recommending against prosecution. They flat out told leadership, we don't have enough here. And this isn't the first time the DOJ has had to make that call. Back in 2019, when Comey leaked some memos about conversations with Trump, the Inspector General actually referred him for prosecution. DOJ leadership reviewed it and declined, saying there wasn't enough to charge him. So there's a history of internal resistance. So let's fast forward to 2025. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia at the time, Eric Siebert, guess what? He also declined to bring charges. What happened next? Siebert resigned. But then Trump appointed Lindsay Halligan, a lawyer who used to actually represent him personally, has never led a U.S. attorney's office, has never prosecuted anyone, but within weeks of her arrival, the Comey indictment was filed. That sequence, prosecutors saying no, leadership saying no, then Trump replacing people until he got a yes, that's why so many people are calling this a politically driven case. If you look at the indictment itself, it's like Taylor Swift. It's thin. It doesn't spell out exactly how Comey obstructed Congress. It doesn't detail clear, intentional falsehoods. It almost reads like they rushed it in just before the statute of limitations expired at the end of September. Yeah, September 30th. So let's be honest. This doesn't look like justice running its natural course. It looks like Trump forcing it. Comey's been one of Trump's top public enemies ever since he launched the Russia investigation. Trump has said publicly, over and over, that Comey should be prosecuted. And now under Trump's pressure, it's finally happening. And this is part of a larger pattern. Comey isn't alone. Trump has a long history of attacking people he sees as opponents. He's attacked the press, calling them the enemy of the people. He's fired officials like Chris Krebs, who simply said the 2020 election was secure. He's pressured law firms that once employed investigators, threatening their government contracts, and just recently, he even said the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois should be jailed. No trial, no charges, just because he said so. So yeah, James Comey stood in court yesterday and pleaded not guilty. But the bigger question is this: are we looking at an impartial legal case, or are we watching a president turn the justice system into his personal hit squad? That's what's really at stake. Let me know your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below. All right, let's talk about a very different courtroom story. Y'all remember that big jailbreak in New Orleans back in May, where 10 inmates managed to escape from the Orleans Parish jail? They ripped the toilet out the wall, crawled through a hole behind it, slipped through the loading dock, scaled the wall, ran across the I-10 freeway. Sounded like something out of a movie. But within weeks, 9 of the 10 escapees were caught. But one man, Derrick Groves managed to stay free for almost 5 months. Yesterday, however, that run ended. Authorities tracked him down in Atlanta. They found him hiding under a house in a crawl space. They tossed in some gas, sent the police dog in, and that kind of forced him out. Now, I saw some of y'all championing him like, yeah, he escaped and all of this. I saw that. I was with some of y'all. But Groves wasn't in for no petty crimes. He had convictions tied to multiple shootings, including a Mardi Gras block party that left 2 people dead. That man was facing life sentences, you know? But here's the part that I can't shake a little. After months of hiding in crawl spaces, running and figuring out how to survive every day, do y'all think he was almost relieved to get caught? Because let's be real, that wasn't freedom. That was fear. That was exhaustion. That was running every day, trying not to let people see your face so you could stay away and figure out how to get somewhere to where you could really be free. So I don't know. What's your thoughts? Drop it in the comments. Switching gears to music, but still in the courtroom, Lil Durk is facing new Fed allegations on top of the murder for hire charges he's already fighting. Now, this story goes back to November of 2020. Some of y'all might recall King Von, Durk's really good friend. Well, he was killed in a fight outside an Atlanta nightclub, which involved Quando Rondo's crew. That incident escalated tension between Durk and Rondo's crew further. Now, prosecutors are saying that in 2022, Durk arranged a hit on Quando Rondo. Allegedly, he had some people fly from Chicago to LA to line this hit up. That attack left Rondo's cousin, Lil Pob, dead. Durk was indicted in 2024 and pleaded not guilty. Now, today, prosecutors are adding new claims. They say Durk also ordered hits on members of O Block in Chicago, which is his own hood. Why? Because they didn't retaliate after Von's death. They say witnesses will testify to this, but Durk's lawyers argue the indictment is vague and lacks specifics. Prosecutors are also alleging that Durk tried to destroy an Apple Watch while in custody, one of the watches with the built-in antenna so you can make calls directly from your wrist. They're using that to argue for an anonymous jury, saying there's a risk of intimidation. Durk continues to deny all the charges, and his legal team is pushing to have parts of the case dismissed. So the question is, are prosecutors stacking on shaky allegations to build their narrative, or is there really enough evidence here to bring Durk down? Either way, this will be interesting. Moving on. All right, let's close tonight on a high note because hip-hop in 2025 has been something special, especially for the vets. Vets like Mobb Deep, officially back. Havoc and the Alchemists put together a new album called Infinite, dropping Friday. First Mobb Deep project since 2014. Even got new Prodigy verses. For fans like me, this is a major moment. But you know what? They're not alone because this year's been stacked with vet releases. Slick Rick dropped Victory, first album since '99. Raekwon dropped The Emperor's New Clothes. Master Killer from Wu-Tang dropped Balance. Ghostface came back with new music. Kwame returned with a project. LL had a new album. The Clipse reunited and dropped one of the best albums of the year. And on top of that, Nas label, Mass Appeal, they got their own Legend Hazard series. And this ain't no ad. I just looked the stuff up. They got new music coming from Nas, DJ Premier, De La Soul. I even saw Big L on that list. So yeah, 2025 isn't just another year for hip-hop. It's proof the culture is thriving across generations. The new wave is innovating in their way, but the vets, they reminded everybody why they built the foundation in the first place. And honestly, it's dope to see. But you know what? On that note, that's it for today's show. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Drop a comment, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button. We go live on Sunday evenings where we'll dive deeper and chop up more on the stories together. This has been your daily breakdown of news, culture, and perspective through my lens. Tomorrow we'll talk some more. Stay tuned, stay sharp, stay dangerous.